Hi everyone, welcome to Lecture 7 in MKT 340 Strategic Marketing Management, where we start to look at how we position ourselves within a market compared to its stage of development. And the first of these, of course, are called market penetration strategies. So we're starting off with a quote here. Basically what this quote says is that the fundamental enabler of all strategies is competitive advantage, a distinct, coherent corporate identity that is a quality that attracts customers, investors, employees, and suppliers. So the rule of thumb to remember here is that markets don't grow forever, that consumers aren't loyal forever, and that technology and changes to industrial factors mean that competitive advantage is something that needs to be reviewed and adapted to on a regular basis. So here we are in the planning process. So we're looking now, if you like, at the development of moving from strategy development and implementation, where we look at, over the next few weeks, we're going to look at penetration development strategies, incremental innovation strategies, and so on. So the focus of this lecture here today is to examine customer acquisition and customer retention. So as markets slow down in growth rates, which is not a problem when we're all making money, then these become more of an issue for us. The framework is based on research which goes back a few years, but which is still very useful for business today. And it's called the Anzoff Product Market Growth Mix, which was briefly discussed in Lecture 4. And really what this is saying is, depending upon whether you want to grow your business or maintain your business, you have 4 types of choices: working with your existing products and services, or working in existing markets or in new markets. And from these, a number of strategies follow. For example, in market development, this strategy involves expanding the total market by a product or product line, including entry to new geographic markets, new market segments. So examples of this might be online banking a few years ago, or it might be moving into new geographic areas, new international markets. New market segments might be people who've not used our product before, new user groups. Incremental innovation are strategies that are based on the introduction of a new product to an existing product line. So here we're slowly changing what we're doing. So here we might do something like develop a new online retailing strategy, or we might look at developing a new type of SUV vehicle, for example. Radical innovation is the last one, and these are basically brand new to the world products, or if we say to create a brand new type of market. So what then are some strategies for growth markets? Well, it really depends if you're in the lead or not. If you already are a market leader, the objective here is to maintain your market share by designing strategies to retain customers to win the largest share. So concentrating on the offering. For a challenger, it's slightly different. They have 2 options: win the largest share of new customers as they enter the market, and to win customers away from the market leader. The first, of course, being the most easier of the 2 to do. And you can see this working here in the NBN market at the moment, where we've got Telstra, who are the market leader in this area. How will the NBN work for you? Your business is local, ask a local. So they're sticking with mainly existing users. And here, with the NBN bundles with Optus, they're looking at both existing users and new users as well. So some strategies when the market starts to get competitive. We characterise these markets as having overcapacity or intensified competition and price wars. And competitors without a clear competitive advantage in this market usually struggle to survive. The winners are those who have created what we call a differentiated competitive advantage. Okay, so here's an example here. If we look at the mobile phones compared to national broadband, we see quite different approaches here. Now we're starting to see concentration on price, whereas the previous advertisements I showed you didn't mention price at all. We're talking about bundling, which is retaining customers here, or we're talking about trying to move customers here, as the case of Optus with Telstra. So what are then some strategies for mature markets? Well, this is a stage where the market peaks with significant decline in the rate of growth. The 4-2-1 of the three biggest competitors, that is, the largest competitor is twice as big as the second competitor, which is twice as big as the third competitor. And what a series of industry studies show is these tend to be sort of mature markets, almost oligopolies. Few first-time buyers enter the market, late majority, and so that repurchasing or retaining customers becomes more important. Some options include converting non-users, if there are any, targeting new underdeveloped market segments. So we saw in the previous one slide that Telstra were talking to regional businesses. Underdeveloped market segments are getting people to use the product more, or new geographical markets. You may want to encourage greater product usage, developing new uses for the product or new ways to use the product. And we've often seen that, of course, with mobile phones. And of course, customer retention becomes much more important. So loyalty schemes, pricing strategies, contracts, which we see in mobile phones, and subscription services become more important. Here's an interesting approach taken by Myers, and here they're really trying to bring people back to the excitement of shopping. So in other words, what this strategy is doing is converting non-users or people who don't shop as much as they could face-to-face in terms of shopping.
Ever wonder where Wonderful went? When we were small, Wonderful was everywhere. Dad was the strongest man in the world. Fairies paid good money for teeth. And a torch and a bedsheet turned the dining table into a magical wonderland. And then we all got serious. Suddenly the world became one great grey blah of adequate. And why? When there's so much to feel wonderful about. That decides it. We'll bring Wonderful back. We'll slither on sparkling dresses and spritz ourselves in Parisian scent. Find impossibly high heels, jewels for our fingers, and bags small enough for a mouse. Wonderful's waiting. So let's just go out and find it.
Okay, so this strategy is actually explained by the, I think it's the marketing manager and CEO of Myers on this video here. And really what this is trying to do is create the excitement, the experiential impact of shopping face-to-face and visiting a store rather than doing something online. And this is a strategy which we often see in mature markets. So what about the strategies in declining markets? Well, if you're a market leader, you often have a cost advantage, and you can actually grow your business by actually encouraging or buying out weak competitors to exit the markets. And we saw this recently in Australia with JB Hi-Fi buying out Dick Smith. Price competition can help, often because you have a price competition, line extensions to take over profitable niches or locations, and taking over weaker competitors' accounts or stores. Another strategy might be that the market is declining, so what we'll do is we'll maximize margins. And this is really a harvesting strategy where we decrease over time marketing and other operational costs. We might close down less profitable distribution outlets. This is a strategy that Myers actually did for a while before this new strategy they've got up here, and encourage sales and efficiencies. So really an efficiency cost reduction strategy. That's it for now. Obviously there's a lot more online topics that you might want to look at, and I look forward to your comments on this lecture. Thanks.